This is Garrett J. White, the Authentic Entrepreneur, coming at you real, raw, and relevant, coming at you from my basement. And check out my setup. I got my PC tablet going down, a little keyboard for that. I got my protein shake. I got my computer screen. I got my other computer screen. I got my mug. I got my stuff, etc. Anyways, this is where we get it done. These three screens, this is where we get it done. So anyways, I'm coming at you today just to give you a brief message. I'm actually recording this in my basement, which is where I like to have my at-home office. It's nice and cool. And as you can tell, my hair is focused today. So here's a message. I've noticed that we tend to create in our minds, particularly as entrepreneurs, because we're so visionary and we're so creative, we tend to create in our minds over-exaggerated situations about what might be when it comes to emails, phone calls, etc. So I got an email this morning or a text message this morning that said, I need to talk to you at this particular time. I text back and I said, sure, that'll be great, but can you do this time instead? And I said, what's it about? They said, we've got a massive problem that we need to deal with. Now, it was interesting because the call itself, the text this morning was early, and yet this afternoon, coming into this afternoon at the call time, I was super stressed. I was watching my ego, my mind, exaggerate what could be, that somehow I had done something, or our organization had done something, or we had created some kind of dilemma, or some kind of issue, or some kind of problem, and these guys were going to be pissed off, and I was going to be in trouble, and blah, 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 blah. So here's the question. How is it then as an entrepreneur that we don't allow our egos to expand the false reality of what is, or through fear, a false evidence appearing real? How do we get to a place where we don't allow our ego to control our outcomes? Because see, the funny thing is, my experience is when I'm in that space, I'll actually take and create that in the conversation. Like literally, I'll take and say, okay, here's what it is. I'm fearful, I'm defensive, etc. So by the time the call comes, the person I'm talking to has absolutely no chance whatsoever because my swords are blazed and I'm ready to kick ass, right? Yet the thing is, it's not about kicking ass. It's not about that situation. Maybe it needs to kick ass, maybe it doesn't. But the problem is if I come into the conversation already with my ego having created the filter and the projection that this conversation is going to be about war and battle and you're going to need to defend yourself, just like my 6-pound weenie dog hiding in the corner, not real vicious until you corner. Once you corner, she goes crazy, right? And so in our space then, I noticed as that was happening and I went through my Ashaya techniques, and I started using the strategies and the principles I've learned of Ascension in our first sphere that we had last weekend with the Ashaya, with Nadisvara and Kala, who had come in and had taught that retreat up in my cabin. And I went through and I noticed that my mind itself began to be at ease. And being at ease, I came to my heart center, and it was interesting to see how what I had created for a couple hours as this major traumatic issue came down to be something absolutely not even close to what my mind was exaggerating it to be. The thing I began to ask myself even more, though, is how often as entrepreneurs do we not make that phone call? Do we not send that email? Do we not do those things that ultimately would create the success that we want because we allow our ego mind, edging God out, getting us into a place of fear, doubt, and worry, scarcity, limits, and destruction? How often do we not make the phone call, send the email, pull the trigger, execute, because of some story that we've created in our mind that is not true, a false evidence appearing real, and the only evidence appearing is in our mind's eye. And yet our mind itself is the seer. Our eyes are merely the filter through which we experience life. And so these mindsets, these belief systems, they start to project through us onto what is, and we begin to create meaning around what is. So again, we'd love your insight, your comments, etc. here at the Daily Download with Garrett J. White, the Authentic Entrepreneur, and give your input on what you think about this question. Is it possible that in your space, how do you go about handling this egoic rise that tends to come that holds us back from creating the results that we want in our business and the results we want in our lives? That's my question for you today. Hope everything going well. Hope that life itself is treating you wonderfully perfect, which honestly, it can't do anything else than that. Reminding you to be real, be raw, be relevant, but most importantly, to be authentic. Now, side little pause note here at the end of the download. Two things coming up here next Wednesday. That would be next Friday, April 2nd, is the launch of Authentic Entrepreneur TV, found at AuthenticEntrepreneur.tv. AuthenticEntrepreneur.tv. Plug in. Would love to have you on our live episodes, our recorded episodes / live episodes that are happening every single week, talking about the concepts of selling, marketing, and the conversation of fulfillment or sequencing. So we'd love to have you on our TV show. If you're interested in being a guest, send me an email. Transform at GarrettJWhite.com. And also our radio show at LA Talk Radio launches this next week also, coming up here on April 6th. So I guess 2 weeks from now. April 6th, 2010 is the launch of our radio show, Authentic Entrepreneur Radio. You can find us there at AuthenticEntrepreneurRadio.com. AuthenticEntrepreneurRadio.com. Hope everything's going well. Again, one more reminder, keep it real, keep it raw, keep it relevant, and most importantly, be authentic.